processes are going on right now. Hold on a second. Then once all the approvals are done, then compensation in HR sets up the agreement for services for reporting. So we really need to make sure that all the agreement for services are approved prior to summer school starting. That's the goal. The way we are involved as far as the finance payroll office is there are some agreements that are not reportable online. And those are the 135 flat amount for the subs. So all licensed employees that are on the summer school agreement for service should be reporting on the AFS online system. And like I said, this is nothing new. This is what they've been doing all school year. I think this started when Carl Walker was here back in, I think it was 2017 when they started this. So they should be familiar if they're doing agreement for services during the school year with the AFS online reporting system. And I believe the login is their email address, and then their password is their employee ID number. I can't really show you how to enter the hours on the agreement or submit them because I'm not familiar with that process, but definitely Stan Rodriguez in HR or compensation can help with that if there's any questions with that. There are some links I'm going to share at the end of the slideshow. So that kind of explains how to report. And that's basically how I'm familiar with it because I've looked at those slides. So it's pretty simple. The big thing is they have to remember to report by Friday. If they forget to report Friday, then they'll have to report the hours to their approver, and the approver will send them on the spreadsheet. And that's where we're involved, the spreadsheet. Since COVID started and we closed, we used to do paper timesheets, and we would get probably 2,500 paper timesheets a month. When we couldn't do paper anymore, we converted to a spreadsheet. And we only accept those spreadsheets from either the principal or the secretary or the assistant, someone who can approve those hours. We cannot accept them from the employee directly. When they fill out the spreadsheet, they'll give us all the important information so that we know what to enter for payment. And that spreadsheet is saved and sent to the payroll email. And that's an email that we all have access to in payroll. So we can download it and put it in the queue for entry. So again, licensed hourly rate agreements must be reported on the AFS online system by Friday each week. And if you have any classified summer school employees, they won't, if they're contracted currently, they'll use Oracle time card. And on their agreement for service, it will tell them what hours type to use for their approved agreement. And that's how the classified contracted employees will report. Again, this is the same process we currently use for any AFS work. So what is a flat amount agreement? It's any agreement that is paying a flat dollar amount. And I noticed this summer school program that HR rolled out is mainly converted to hourly rate. So the flat amounts do not include the hourly rate employees because those employees should be reporting on the AFS online. The flat amounts are what we see here. This is a flat amount sample. If you're not familiar with the agreement for service, this is the agreement for service ID number. It's unique to every agreement. And I heard we have over 7,000 agreement for services in HR. So here's the employee name. This is their ID number. And you probably don't need it, but it's their email address. This is for summer school at Wheeling. Here's the quick code that will be charged. And this converts to the long code. Here's the flat amount. And see how it says paper timesheets? Those are the ones that you know need to be submitted on the spreadsheet to payroll because we no longer have paper timesheets. We just have the spreadsheet. You want to make sure, like I said, that approvals are done because HR, we can't pay any agreements. They won't allow us to pay anything if all these approvals aren't done. Here's the spreadsheet. It has a header where the site or division name is up here. And then you want to always put the week ending date, and the weeks end on a Saturday. So anything from Sunday through Saturday will be included on this spreadsheet. The approver is usually the principal or whoever's designated as the approver for summer school. We need their name up here in case we have any questions. It's pretty simple. We just need the employee ID number, their last name, first name. Again, that AFS ID number is very important because we enter that onto our record so that we can tie those hours back to that agreement for service. For the flat amounts, you won't have an hourly rate. You can put total hours worked if you'd like, but the flat amount is what goes in this performance pay, which is really not technically performance pay, but that's the element name we've always used for flat amounts. And then of course the quick code. And then comments are optional, but they're helpful. In case we get audited, it's always nice to know, yes, this is the total amount that we're paying on the 135 per day, but we can put out here how many days they actually worked. And you can put many employees on one spreadsheet, and then you save that and send it to the payroll email after the week has been worked. Here's a sample of our sample employee, Mary Anderson. This is at Wheeling, and this is the first week of summer school, so week ending 6/5. The principal and Jessica Hill, I'm just pretending, is sending this spreadsheet on behalf of the approver, Ramon Carson. We have her ID number, her name, the AFS ID number, which is at the top of that agreement for service. There won't be an hourly rate. Like I said, total hours worked is optional. And this person is the 135 per day. They worked 4 days because Monday was a holiday, and the quick code goes right here. If you had more people, you could add them on this list. I don't believe there's a lot of these agreements that are the flat amounts, but I haven't talked to HR to find out what the volume is. I kind of looked in there today to kind of see if I could. I only found 2 that were $135 a day. So again, I'm just summarizing what fields are mandatory for these flat amount payments. You have to fill out the header with all the information, and then the spreadsheet has to include all this information so that we know how to enter it into Oracle for payment. We've kind of come up with a format for everyone to save their spreadsheets since March of last year. So most people use their name. So this is the person that's sending it, and then an underscore, the site, and then the week ending date. A lot of people in the beginning were sending them as Google Sheets, and we can't have a shared document. We need a finalized spreadsheet, so it needs to be saved as an Excel spreadsheet before you send it to payroll. Here's the information, how to send it to the payroll staff. We require that you send them weekly. We can't have them stacked up and then send them all at cutoff time because we don't have the capacity to enter all of those at once. So it's very helpful if sites would send them every Monday or Tuesday for the previous week, and that helps us stay on top of data entry. And this is the email that they go to, timecard@aurorak12.org. And like I said, all 4 of us in the payroll office have access to this email address, and we can all download them, answer questions, whatever is necessary. We also use this email address for employees to contact us if they have questions regarding their payroll or a W-4 change or direct deposit. We do all that on the finance side. Here's a sample of an hourly rate licensed employee for summer school. So we have again their name, AFS ID number. This is 6th Avenue, quick code, and here's the long code. And then this is where, if they see this, the worker will receive payment through the Oracle payroll system. That means they'll report on the AFS online system. So that's really important. Whenever you see this hourly rate, as long as this agreement is all approved, they should be able to report on the online system. But the approval is really the key, because HR and compensation does not set this up until all approvals are done. So it might be a good idea. I'm not sure who the originator was on your agreement for services, but they're pretty much the only ones that have access. So they need to follow up and log into the AFS agreement for service database to make sure that all of these agreements are approved. It usually has the name of the person who approved or originated the agreement, and so that they should really double check and make sure these approvals are done, because if they're not approved, then the employee cannot be paid. So that's really important. We don't want that to happen. If for some reason the licensed employee fails to report by Friday, or they forget, or their agreement wasn't approved back when they worked, you do have the option to enter their time, because after the Friday passes, there's no other way to get them paid. So again, you would just include it on the weekly spreadsheet with the ID number, their name, the AFS ID number. Now this one is going to have an hourly rate because it's for a licensed employee, and we'll need to know how many hours so we can calculate that rate. You won't have a flat amount payment because that's only for the $135 per day, or per diem if there's any setup for a per diem rate. The quick code to charge. And then again, comments are optional, but because the Monday was a holiday, there was only 30 hours that week. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Joni, there are a couple of questions in the chat. I'm not sure if you want to hold off until the end to answer those, or answer them now.
Yeah, I'll hold off until the end. Unless I'm not sure how to get to the chat on Zoom. Because I'm not seeing it on my screen.
Joni,
Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay. The summer school, the principal needs to designate someone. I've heard through the grapevine that people might, or two sites might be sharing one site. So there has to be someone designated as the approver of the agreement. So if you go back to these agreements here, usually the supervisor is who is going, this is where the time cards are going to be set up to go to. So I don't mean to pick on Laura, but this is how this one is set up. So if she is not available, she needs to grant access to her approval work list so that the correct approver will, or even a backup, will have access to the approvals if she's not there. The quick code is designated by the budget office, and that's usually determined before the agreement is created. So the site contacts the budget office, is from what I understand. I don't know exactly the HR side of it as far as creating the agreement, because it's all done by the time it gets to the payroll office. But the quick code is already predetermined when the agreement is set up, and then that quick code cannot change. If you're reporting hours on this agreement, then that quick code is the only one that payroll can use. And that is the only one that that will be set up on the HR side when they set up the online reporting. Yes, and it looks like Karen Geyer issues in the budget office is one that issues the summer school quick codes. So if you have a question about that, or if you're still creating agreement for services, then I would I would contact Karen Geyer in finance.
So I guess I have a quick question. You had mentioned building, kind of, we did combine. So I have 2 teachers from other schools coming here to support summer school. I'm making the assumption that when they were hired on as the summer school teacher, that their building leader created the AFS for them. Are they the approver, or are we the approver because they're working here?
Well, it all depends on how they created the agreement, like you said. So if they used they should have used someone in your building, because you are supervising the work being done. You're there to as the designated approver for anyone working in the building. Now, do you know if these shared teachers will be reporting their hours back to their originator or originating site?
Yeah, I think I'll have to do a little bit more digging there, because the decision to combine is recent. I'm assuming that, right when I had my teachers, we started the process for creating the AFS. So I'll reach out to their building leaders to see what they've done, and then if we need to revise stuff, we will.
Well, and keep in mind, I'll show you at the end, there is a way for that other building to grant access to their approval work list. The only thing I'm concerned about there is you might be able to see all their employees and you only want to see their agreement for service. Ideally, the agreement for service should have been created with the actual building approver that at the building that they're working at. So
Yeah, because I haven't had to approve them yet. So
Okay.
I bet they're still tied to that school. And all right, I'll look into that.
And you might, I'm not, I can't remember if it's possible, but HR would know this, Stan Rodriguez. Maybe the agreement could get changed or modified so that you become the approver or the supervisor, at least for that agreement for those 2 teachers from the other building. That's the part I'm not real familiar with as far as the HR side, but that might be a possibility.
All right, thanks.
Just want to make sure I have all the questions answered. So if someone creates the agreement for service, they unfortunately, I believe, are the only ones that can access the agreement for service. If you are an approver on the agreement for service, you should still have access to log in and see it. But again, Stan Rodriguez in HR should be able to answer that question also. I'm not sure after it's originated if that can be changed or updated.
Yeah, that question is around, I am currently a teacher. I am going to be the site leader at a school where I do not work. And so hiring teachers is something I am not able to do as a teacher. And so I think the secretary has been starting those AFSs, if that's a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I was wondering, is there a way that she has, because she's also not working summer school. So I'm just wondering, but I'll email Stan Rodriguez and ask that question.
Okay. And I have maybe a suggestion at the end too, and I'll go ahead and talk about it now, is that you may want to get, as a leader in your building, a printed copy of the agreement for service. So you have a folder, so you have all that information. I know we don't like to waste all this paper, but I really think because the originator is so restricted to the originator and the approvers that they don't have visible access to the agreement. They can't log in to see it. Like you said, if you're the designated teacher leader at a different site. So I think that will help. At least you have the information. And then you'll know all that information for the quick code and the employees that are actually working in the building. So let's go back. Can't remember where I left off. Okay, so we've entered Thomas Anderson's hourly rate because he failed to report his hours online by Friday. So he reported them to the leader or approver at his site, and then they will submit them on their weekly spreadsheet. This is a sample of a classified employee. I heard that they're bringing on a possible clerk or classroom monitor. This is not, I could not find a classified agreement for service, so I just pulled this one. But this is how all classified agreement for services are written. Again, ID numbers up here, the name is here. The rate of pay is right here. Quick code, long code. Again, it does say the rate again here, but this is the most important part. The worker will report time in Oracle self-service time cards. And it gives them the hours type. So the hours type is agreement for services 4. So basically they'll choose that hours type instead of contract hours, and then report their hours for the week, save it and submit it. The classified employees aren't restricted to the Friday rule. So if they forget to do their time on Friday, they're still able to do it on Monday. But the licensed employees and any non-contracted employees that will be working summer school that report on the AFS online system, they are restricted to the Friday rule. They have to report by Friday. So this again is something that most classified employees are used to. Normally they report contract hours when they're working during the school year, but when they're working in the summer for summer school, they'll use the agreement for service hours type that HR designated. Keep in mind, the agreement for service has to be approved in order for that hours type to be available to them. And they'll get an email when it's all set up and ready to go. And the licensed employees will get this email from HR as well. It'll let them know that the agreement for service is approved and it's ready for reporting. If the agreement is never approved, we really don't want to see classified employees on that spreadsheet because of FLSA rules that require all of their hours to be reported by them, and it calculates any overtime premium. So we really need the hours to come over online. I doubt that there will be a lot of overtime premium paid for summer school, but we always like to have their hours on Oracle in Oracle time card. So it automatically calculates those hours for classified employees. So we talked about it in payroll, some information that might be helpful for the site leaders to gather before summer school starts. It's helpful to have a list of the employees working summer school and their employee ID numbers. And like I said, a copy of each employee's approved agreement for services. And we're big on alphabetizing, so they're easy. It's easy access to find it. And then what's helpful for some people is they have a checkoff sheet that the approver keeps track of any Oracle time cards that they approved or any spreadsheets that they approved. So if an employee says, did I report my hours? Did you submit them for me? You can go back to your sheet for each week and say, yeah, these were submitted, or I approved them in Oracle. And then you won't have to do a lot of research because it'll be there on your sheet. But keep it simple. You don't need a lot of information, just the week ending date, their name, hours, or the flat amount that was paid. So that's just some helpful tips that could help you. Here's the payroll calendar. Summer school is not paid. There's not a special payment made. It's included in the employee's regular payroll. The first summer school payment will be June 30th. Cutoffs still apply for summer school. So any hours worked through payroll cutoff June 12th will be paid on this day. If anything that's worked after June 12th will go on their July paycheck. And I believe that we run accrual reports. So those last 2 weeks in June that are reported and paid in the July payroll are accrued back to the 2021 school year. And accounting does that every year. So that's nothing different for summer school. This is the payroll calendar for we start the new school year July 1st. So I gave you a copy of the next school year payroll calendar through December. I don't know how many of you are aware, but we're getting a new Oracle Cloud system. It was in the superintendent's bulletin last Friday announcing this. Finance is going first, but HR and payroll will go live January 1st. And there'll be even less paper. With the new system, everyone will report online. So it's going to be a really good system and much better than the current AFS online system that we have now, because everything is all going to be in Oracle in one spot, and they won't have all these separate logins. So that will be a big plus when we go live January 1st. These are just reminders. Remember to submit the spreadsheets weekly. Summer school pay is included in the employee's regular end of the month payroll, and the payroll cutoff periods follow the same normal payroll cutoffs that we have now. These are some HR links that I found. I mentioned that I researched some agreement for services information on HR, the HR website. And it's under the applications, so resources, applications, and then agreement for services. And there's a lot of useful information. It gives how to originate an agreement for service, or how to approve an agreement for service, how the worker reports on the AFS online system. So that's very helpful. And this one is for Oracle time card approvals. So basically what happens, the licensed employees and any non-contracted hourly employees report on the AFS online system. And those hours are reported by Friday. And then on Sunday night, every week, those hours from that AFS online system are sent to or submitted to Oracle. And it goes into an Oracle time card. So the Oracle time cards get auto-submitted because the employee does not have a login for Oracle. They only are reporting their hours on the AFS online system. So they flow into the Oracle time card, they get auto-submitted, and then the approvers will see them Monday morning. And so your classified employees will have their hours submitted themselves on the self-service. And then the AFS online hours have already been submitted automatically. And so you'll see those time cards in Oracle as well. So everything will be approved in Oracle. So this is a very good website or link to go to that will show you how you can grant access to someone else, a trusted person, to do your approvals. And you can put a date range in there. So it'll expire after summer school's over. You can, and that person will have access to all the time cards that come to you for approval. I'm trying to think what else. There's a way for you, it shows how you approve them. If there's a problem with the hours and they're not correct, you can reject them. And if you get a time card that doesn't belong to you, you can reassign it to a different principal. So those are some options that are included in this link right here. And that ends my presentation. Are there any other questions? Do we set up AFS for the subs?
Quick question. Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
That was a question around, do we set up a list for the sub that's gonna come in case the teacher's out? And then do they get, because they're licensed, do they get the flat rate or do they get the hourly rate in the summer?
From what I understand, under the agreement standardized rates, section N, any sub that's designated for summer school is paid at the 135 per day rate. And they do have to be, so I'm not sure if you're using actual contracted employees as the summer school sub, or if these are totally non-contracted employees.
So the ones in my building are contracted already?
Okay. That might be a question for HR. I know they sent out that packet that the budget office forwarded to me regarding hourly rates for summer school participants. And then that, like I said, that agreement for service standardized rates that Damon Smith puts out every June has the rates of pay for any summer school sub. So compensation can help with that. They're divided into communities, and that's on the HR website. So your compensation specialist should be able to advise you of what rate they should be using on the AFS.
Yeah, thank you, yeah, because I don't remember seeing there was rates for paras, teachers, the interns, but I never saw one that was explicit to the subs.
Yeah, and I do recall that also. And so when I searched it on the standardized rates, I found it in section N of that standardized rates. And that is on this this agreement for service link right here. That has that standardized rates memo that Damon puts out every year. So that you might be able to find it there.
All right, thank you.
And if you can't, then I'd advise you to speak with your compensation specialist and they should be able to advise you. Yes, if you are sharing, if Lynn Knoll and 6th Avenue are submitting a spreadsheet to payroll, you can definitely, since you're all working at 6th Avenue, definitely for summer school, you can combine those employees and submit one spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Mhm. If subs are from outside the district, will they need a contract first? Sorry, I can't help with that one. It would be HR that would have to answer that. Because I know we do have substitutes that are used in the district that Kelly Services pays. So I'm not sure, Laura, if you're speaking about those types of subs, or if there's just designated summer school subs. I'm not sure what HR, how they're coordinating subs as far as for the summer school program. If they're only on agreement for service, and they do have to be active in the HR system in order for payroll to pay them. So if they're a Kelly Services sub, then they're not set up in our system. So I would contact HR. Compensation should know that as well, or your HR director should know. I'm sorry, I can't handle or answer a lot of these HR questions, and I don't want you to feel like I'm passing you off, but I honestly don't know the front end part of all of this. I can just speak about how we pay and how the time is submitted to us.
Hey, Joni,
Yeah.
can I take you back just for clarification purposes to CJ's question?
Okay.
So they're going to have two separate programs in the same building. So even though it was my understanding, because they're two separate programs, they would each have to submit their own sheet for their teachers because they're two different supervisors.
Oh, okay. So when the budget office first talked about combining sites, I thought that their was going to be a combined effort and only one person would be designated. But yeah, I guess if,
So
you know,
there's actually,
it doesn't matter to payroll as far as if there's one person sending them, you could put in comments off to the side that this is Laura Burke and Lynn Knoll, and this is CJ Kane, 6th Avenue. I hope I got that the right way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the comments field is helpful. I mean, I don't want it to be a burden on people, but I want it to make sense for payroll too.
Right.
So I don't want you to have to go to a lot of, I want to make it simple for everyone. If we can make sense of it and say up in the approver area, Laura Burke is Lynn Knoll and CJ Kane is 6th Avenue. And then in the comments field, just put all the Lynn Knoll people, then put all the 6th Avenue, and that would be great. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just thought that it might be efficient to have one document being sent than two, but we'll do whatever you need.
Okay. Yeah, we used to get 2,500 separate timesheets. This month we got 668 spreadsheets. So less is better. Okay. Let's see. Who can give us a printed copy of the agreement? The originator of the agreement or the employee that you hired for summer school has access, so they can get a copy to you as well. All they have to do is use their email address and their employee ID number as the password, and they should be able to go to their agreement and print it out. If you're missing any and it's getting down to crunch time, just email me and I can get you a printed copy if you're having difficulty, because I want people to have the information. And I apologize if I don't get back to you right away, because I'm in these ERP, new computer system conference calls all day. So I will answer as soon as I can and get those to you if you need them. But yeah, the employee should be able to give them to you. But before the originator leaves for the summer, I would definitely get them to print them out. It would be helpful if the printed copy showed the approval. So hopefully they'll all be approved by then. Let's see, we answered that question. Okay, yeah, yes, Sylvia's right. As far as when all the approvals are done and HR sends the agreement for service email saying it's all complete and it's ready for the employee to report, they can get copies of that agreement for service at that point. So that's another option. And Stan can also get the copy of the agreement if anyone needs it. He has access. He does it all. Stan the man. Let's see. Oh, this is all helpful information. Thank you, everyone. I cannot confirm the number of hours that clerical works. That would be, I don't have the HR information that they sent out for summer school, but it must not have been listed on there, because I think they added the clerical, the classified employees later, at a later time. But I would reach out to your HR director or compensation to find out the number of hours the clerical would work. I'm not sure if it's 7 or 8, or if it's totally something off the wall for summer school. I guess I just don't know their duties. So we are not the directive on the payroll side. I mean, we would definitely enter the number of hours that are approved, but we just don't know what that pre-approval would be. Classified staff does report in Oracle time card, and licensed staff and any non-contracted, that's an hourly rate, would report in AFS online system. So Carla, yep, you have it there correctly. Yeah, this year, Jennifer, this year, they're doing hourly rates instead of per diem. So I think it's because the AFS online system supports only hourly rates. I'm not sure what the thinking was in HR as far as switching that. I did see that the standardized memo from last June for last school year does state that it's a per diem rate, but then when they put the email or the memo out this year for summer school, it was converted to hourly rate. So
Isn't your hourly rate based on your per diem?
yes, it is.
So
So if you're working 7.5 hours, you would get your per diem rate basically.
yeah,
So it's the same. I don't know if a lot of you know or have a login for the HR data center, but that's what a lot of the originators use to pull the rates for the agreement for services. So it's just a helpful database. The payroll office has a login for that. And so when things come in without an hourly rate and we don't have an answer back from the site, we have a way or a method to find the rate or clarify it from, because some agreements are worded differently. So we're confused about what the hourly rate is. So that's always a good resource to have the HR data center. Let's see. Yes, I think everyone has to be background checked. Yeah, I'm not sure about the classified hours or what they should work. Oh, 4 hours. Okay, Laura. And Laura, do you know who told you that, the 4 hours?
Actually, it was Carol. I
Oh.
emailed.
That was,
Yes.
it's 4 hours. It was on one of the documents that were sent out early on.
Okay, okay. Sorry, I don't have those documents, so I wasn't sure. Okay, Sulin answered that. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? I did send out a PDF of this PowerPoint presentation. Sorry, it was such a rough PowerPoint. I'm not really fluent in PowerPoint presentations, but we threw it together last night, and I did save it as a PDF and I sent it to Sylvia Eldridge. So if any of you would like a copy, she can get it for you. Those links are out there on the website for HR, as they are the directive in most of this. So those are also very helpful. And again, if you have any questions, you can email me or my staff at the timecard@aurorak12.org email, and we're here to help. Just remember the cutoff times and make sure that everything is submitted weekly, and those fields are filled out so we know what to enter into Oracle. Anybody have anything else?
Can I ask one more question real fast? Sure. Where do you find the AFS online? Is there a quick way to get there?
If you go to that agreement for service, the link that I have displayed, that will have a link there. And then it'll show, it'll ask for your login and then your password. So it's your email address and your employee ID number as the password. Oh, there it is in the chat. Anything else?
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Joni, and thank you, Sylvia, also for your support with this session. I know it's a lot of detail, but I know that office staff, secretaries, sitting principals are certainly going to be able to help us navigate through some of it. So thank you again, Joni.
Right. Yeah. As a team, we can all work together and get everyone paid on time. So yeah, just if you have any questions later on, just let me know, and we'll try to find an answer for you.
Thank you, Joni. And Sylvia, would you, when you get a moment, link this video into the same document that you put the PowerPoint and the link? Would
Yes,
you be?
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. That way everyone can go back and look at it if they need to. Just a couple quick steps and reminders. I think the biggest task that you have right now is going back to the school which you're serving as principal and ensuring that all AFSs have been submitted and approved. So just make sure that's your big task right now as principals when you leave here. And then the second is to get a copy of every AFS so that it'll be easier for you to track the information as summer school starts. Okay. If you have any questions, reach out to Sue, myself, any of the LCD interns, Garrett or Zach as well, and we'd be happy to help you. Otherwise, have a beautiful day. And again, Joni and Sylvia, thank you for your help today.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Too. Bye-bye.